Yep, you're good to go.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the July 20th meeting of the Town Council Licensing Subcommittee. In attendance are myself, Tom O'Connor, Kathy Hill, Jeannie Quaglietti, our town clerk and clerk of the council, Pat Henry, Aldo Fazio, and Kathy Hood. And the first order of business is to reorganize. And I'd like to look for a motion to appoint a new chair of that committee.
I nominate Kathy Hill as chair.
A second.
We have we have a motion and a second. All in favor? This is a roll call vote. Aldo?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kathy Hill.
Yes.
And Tom O'Connor, yes. Okay. Kathy, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. So good morning, everyone. Again, good morning. Our first item of business this morning is the approval of the June 30th licensing committee.
Pat has a question.
I'm sorry, Pat.
Pat Henry, yes.
Oh, you got me.
There you are now. I didn't see you there for a minute. Thank you, Pat.
Proceed.
So
Now I can see you.
our first item of business is to approve the June 30th minutes of this subcommittee. Jeannie sent them to everyone late last week, so if no one has any corrections or amendments to them, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I move to approve the June 30th, 10 a.m. meeting of the licensing committee.
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Again, these meetings are all required to have voice votes by roll call. So Kathy Hood.
Yes.
Kathy Hill is a yes. Tom O'Connor.
Yes.
Pat Henry.
Yes.
And Aldo Fazio.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. The June 30th minutes are approved. I don't have my today's agenda in front of me, but it's relatively short, and that is the second item would be to return to a discussion we held on June 30th relative to how to go about creating a policy, if you will, that speaks to procedures for licensees who have a license, but they're simply holding it and not realistically using it on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to defer now to Tom, who's done some legwork over the last couple of weeks with the ABCC.
Thank you, Kathy. So after our last meeting, I still had not received anything in writing, and I attempted to contact the ABCC a number of times. Due to their limited office hours and their lack of people in the office doing the work, you have to leave a voicemail or send an email, which I did both of. I received no response back, so I asked Jeannie through Jackie to respond to them to find out if they could find something in writing. And to my surprise, it's just a strong recommendation by them. And there is nothing in writing. So hence the need for the meeting today. They strongly recommend that you, in order to revoke a license, that you allow for a public hearing and then allow them at least 6 months notice to fix the problem. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Tom, not a public hearing though, right? A hearing.
No,
An
a hearing
administrative hearing.
with the LLA, the
Right.
Local Licensing Authority, yes.
So are you suggesting, Tom, that we have to create a policy. You also made reference to perhaps a need for a bylaw.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the bylaw is needed, but I'd leave that to, up to the committee and others to mill around. We need to formally create a policy, but if by doing so, do we need to create a bylaw to support that policy since we're the local licensing authority? And I'm not sure.
Jeannie?
Yeah, could it be part of or an amendment to the rules and regulations that we worked out and we went back and forth? Is that a bylaw? Where does that belong? And it was like a liquor license rules and regulations. So could we add to that?
That already is a bylaw,
What's a bylaw?
the rules and regs.
Oh, that's right too. That's
We
right too.
submitted it as a bylaw, so it would have to amend that bylaw so it becomes a bylaw.
Oh boy.
So that's where we're at a discussion point. It sounds like we can create a policy, but it needs to go before the bylaw committee to review and accept, and then pass on to the council for acceptance as a bylaw. And we can either put it in two places. I think I mentioned in my notes that it can go, it looks like to me it can go in two places. It can go into the violations and offenses document that we just created that's now in the bylaws, or we do a general bylaw within the bylaws, and it's page 68 of the bylaws, and include it in there as well. I'm not sure where it's better served.
Pat?
I looked at that, Tom, and I believe it goes on page 68 because it's really not a violation or an offense. It is rules of the road that the license subcommittee wants everyone to know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Also, page 68 talks about public hearings. It talks about bringing the owner in for a hearing, and that's where I think that's the key of this.
No, I'm sorry, real quick, but do any other surrounding communities have anything on their books regarding this? I was thinking back a little bit, and not to play devil's advocate, but as a business owner, I buy the license, I pay the $2,200, and I sit on it. Because now that license adds value to my business if I ever go to sell it. Because I can say, hey, Tom, if you want to buy my business, you get approved for the liquor license, add 30 grand of the selling price, and I'll submit my liquor license. And so it adds kind of a value to a business in a sense. It's almost like your driver's license. You pay the $150 or $100 for 5 years. But if you don't drive after 6 months, the registry doesn't take your license. The town is losing meals tax and revenue on that license. I agree 100%. But on the flip side of it, are any other communities near us or around us having their guidelines what to do with the liquor license? So now we bring the owner in for a hearing. He says, oh, I'm sorry, I got this whole plan laid out, serves alcohol for a month, and then doesn't do anything for 11 months. Now come December, Kevin goes in there, there's liquor on the shelves, there's minimal amount of alcohol being poured. Does that suffice to what the town is, what we're trying to create today, this bylaw?
Well, you're jumping ahead a little bit, Aldo, but
Sorry.
The clerk's office looked into the local areas and towns. I believe Jackie did it, Jeannie?
I don't know if she did.
Yeah, but she sent it out to the Clerks Association.
Oh, she did. Yeah, I don't know if she's gotten any responses yet.
Yeah, and she indicated to me that she did not get a response back from anyone. And I did some research in local towns, and I cannot find a bylaw or a policy dealing with this issue. So I think we're on our own to create it if we feel there's a necessity. And I think all of us believe that there is a necessity.
Now, what about
that?
legally speaking? Could somebody, now we come up with this policy, so moving forward, they would have to use the license within 6 months of notification?
Well, as part of the bullet points, did you read the document that Kathy sent out? That,
yes, I did, yes.
okay, Pat and I worked on that. And one of the bullet points on there is the license holder must establish and show proof that the liquor license as issued on the license is being used on a weekly basis all year round.
Okay, yeah.
So we can leave that, or we can amend that if we think that's too strict. But that's one of the things that we need to put in there so it has some teeth, so they don't have a function one day out of the whole year and then say, no, I used the license, 11 and a half months ago.
Yeah. So
And-
you're
and-
referring to, yeah, bullet number 2. Yeah, license holder must establish and show proof. Yes, okay.
Yeah. So
I was just
they were-
thinking, I mean, as a business owner, I'm kind of looking at it as the other side as well, that I pay my $2,200. It's my license in a sense. The town administers the license, therefore they can, put the stipulations on that license. But are we opening the town up for a lawsuit or anything? With somebody saying that, well, there's no other communities doing this. Now, why all of a sudden are you guys coming back to us saying, not only did you increase the price of the liquor license last year, but now you're coming at us to, to use it on a yearly basis. So,
Well, it's part of the step process. Kathy,
Okay.
if I may continue?
Sure. And then
Yeah,
Pat?
as part of the steps necessary, we would come up with a policy. It would go to the bylaw committee, and then it would have to go to our town attorney
okay,
to make sure we're in compliance. But I think this is an issue that, on a necessity, that the town, because we're out of licenses, needs to do something about. In further research that I found, that not only does it enhance the sellability of a business, but it also makes it, it puts them in a better light with banks if they need to do a loan.
Mhm.
So they can apply for a loan based on having the liquor license. But according to what I read, they need to come through the local licensing authority, which I don't know if it happens or not. So it's just something else that I read, and it's something I think that as interested people in the town, we need to make sure we're doing the best thing for the town.
no, yeah, I agree.
Right, and to have license holders hold on to it for their benefit. This is, yes, they own the license, but it's more likely they're leasing the license.
Yes,
In a sense, because the town owns the license.
yep,
And they're paying for use of that license for that period of time. So as a local licensing authority, we have the ability to not issue that license or issue the license any given year based on other criteria that needs to be met. And this would be one of them.
okay.
Pat, I'm sorry,
Pat?
Pat.
Yeah, Pat had a question, I think.
My point is exactly what Tom just brought up. That,
Yeah.
that on speaking for your side, Aldo, there are business owners that would like a liquor license, and if they can't get it, they're harmed.
Oh, yes, yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a
So- so-
of it where it's
So that's why the policy is important, I think.
Yeah. And because there are no new licenses, and it is a very coveted thing to have, I
Yep.
feel they should be using it. So it does make sense. You applied for it, you wanted it, you should be using it.
Yep.
I was just playing the devil's advocate as well. I own it. I pay you the $2,200 lease fee a year, but now we're putting all these no new dancing, no touching of patrons.
You wouldn't like it, though, if we came to the end of the year and said, we're not renewing you.
Oh, I agree. Yes.
Does it make any sense to have our legal counsel take a quick run at this to say, are we, both being hyper vigilant here, or do we have a reason to, does it make sense to create this other stipulation given our circumstances? Yeah.
I would say it will go to the council eventually, but I think we have every right to set terms on our issuance of licenses and to require that a license for pouring alcohol be used actually for pouring alcohol. I don't think every week maybe is right. They can close for a month in the summer or have renovations done for a month, but they do need, I think we're well within our rights, and I don't think we'd be wasting our time.
Okay.
Yep, I would agree with Pat. Again, I'd put down weekly, but that's very stringent, and that's correct. I think
And then
it's
somebody would have to
vacation.
police it.
Yeah,
And there's four establishments that are in question out of the 17 licensee holders.
Jeannie, there's 2 we know of, and then the issue with the establishment that is still renovating and hasn't officially opened yet.
So Frigos and Peppa's for sure, not using them. Redstone Pasta is just hanging out there until they start operating.
And the Meadows, that one's, I know
Yep.
you had a conversation with their attorney that's moving forward, so. And there's 17 total licensee holders
For all alcohol, yes.
for all alcohol? Okay. I was just thinking the ratio, it's not, I could see if we had 8 or 9,
25%.
yeah, 8 or 9 versus 17, but at 2 or 3, it does make sense. They should be using them, so.
right.
Pat?
And what are the other?
So Tom, is the first question that's really before us whether or not we want to create a bylaw or whether we feel that we can do this on an ad hoc basis by contacting a license holder in writing, requesting them to come in for a hearing and giving them an ultimatum that their license must be used within or created within 3 to 6 months and just not have a bylaw. I think this committee needs to make that decision first, because otherwise we're just talking about the terms of what it would be. And I think we need to say, yeah, we need it, or no, we want to use it as an informal policy.
I like Pat's idea of bringing each individual owner. I mean, again, we're dealing with 2 or 3 places here out of 17. If we had 8 or 9 people and we were seeing an ongoing issue where a lot of the licenses were sitting idle, then that, I guess we could definitely establish a bylaw. But I feel that bringing these 2 or 3 individuals up, and like Pat said, giving them an ultimatum, you've got 6 months or we're going to pull the license. It's not going to be renewed.
Yeah, I agree. They're unique situations, so it's going to be a fluid kind of a procedure based on each individual circumstance. So to have a stringent bylaw, I'm not sure.
That's being anti-vigilant, like Kathy said. I think we're being too stringent, but if we do it on a per case basis, I don't know if we can put that in a bullet like Tom had done, that, inactive licenses will be brought, the owners will be brought in, the license holder will be brought in for a hearing with the LLA, right? Liquor License Authority.
Yeah, to all those points, we are being treating it as individuals because we're having a hearing. So each individual has the opportunity to come in and show proof that they're using the license or the reason they're not using it, construction delays or whatever. And it's up to the LLA in the hearing to decide whether or not there are reasons for not using the license are valid. So
maybe
it's already in there.
That would work the same way whether or not there's a bylaw.
right. And so maybe since each case must be taken on a case-by-case basis, and it's likely none of them are the same as another, maybe that we just exercise our right as the LLA to ask for the owner, the licensee, to appear in an administrative hearing, and we don't need to be held down by a bylaw, because the bylaw would have to be quite broad, and we have 30 some odd or 30 licenses of various types. We probably don't, it will be tough to make a bylaw that could generically speak to all of it. So maybe the administrative hearing is the way to go.
I think you're right, Kathy. Pat and I, and in my research, not finding something from the state made me a little concerned that we're kind of like out there on our own. Evidently, the state didn't feel it was something of an issue that they needed to address at their level with the ABCC. And they're leaving it up to the local licensing authorities to decide how to handle it.
So there's our open door. Say, we chose to hold individual hearings at a given point to make inquiries of the licensee, and of course, they have the right to bring counsel with them.
Now, is there any issues with any other licenses, like an entertainment license or a retail beer and wine that's not being used? Do we have to extend this hearing down the line to all 30 licenses that are being held, or are we just, I know we're the liquor subcommittee, so we're discussing the liquor license. But I didn't know regarding, are there any other licenses out there that people are paying for that they're not really utilizing? So as you said, if we make a bylaw, does it have to be broad to include all those entertainment licenses, live music licenses?
They would fall under the auspices because it's kind of an offshoot of
The liquor license?
the condition of the license. It falls under the ABCC.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any. Jeannie, are you?
No, I'm not.
I mean, any licensees that simply have the ability to conduct retail, we know that that's happening in every establishment. The other kind of licensees we have are the private clubs like ITAMs and the American Legion. And I believe right now, they're not even allowed to be open. Is that correct, Jeannie?
Yeah, stage 4.
Phase 4?
Phase 4, yeah.
So,
Unless they serve food, but
to the best of my knowledge, I've not heard about any violations at any of the 3 clubs that we have licensed. KSC, ITAMs, and the Legion. I mean,
No.
when they're open pre-COVID and post-COVID, the members or the patron, well, there have to be members, will freely use that their facility, and I don't imagine there'll be an issue.
Mhm.
This appears to be the in this category, the alcohol appears to be the kind of license that's most vulnerable for being held and keeping in the back pocket for, maybe, and for all, I mean, we issue those licenses in good faith, but perhaps, and I'm not suggesting this, but it's conceivable that a licensee would apply for the broadest license in hopes that it would boost the value of his assets. We don't know that, and certainly we can ask it, but we already know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of favoring the idea of just noticing them and scheduling hearings and let them decide how they want to proceed after we question. Pat?
I'd like to make a motion, Kathy.
Go for it.
I move that the licensing subcommittee recommend that the issue of unused liquor licenses be addressed on an individual basis by the LLA rather than by creating a bylaw.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded, and third and fourth.
Yeah.
You want to hear it again?
Is there further discussion? Jeannie, do you need that reread?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Hearing none. Motion's been made, and this is a roll call. Kathy Hood.
Yes.
Kathy Hill is a yes. Tom O'Connor.
Yes.
Pat Henry.
Yes.
And Aldo Fazio.
Yes.
Motion's approved unanimously. I would like to suggest that, given the fact that we're in the dead heat, pun intended, of summer, that we not go forward individual hearings until our September calendar, if that makes any sense to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the document that shows the different items that would need to be included, there also was a recommendation in there because of COVID to not do anything immediately. So we would look at holding off all hearings until potentially January 1st, 2021. But we can certainly do it sooner since we're not going to be establishing a time clock starting to click, so that we give them time. If we do it in September, Kath, I think that's a good idea, and then they have until the end of the year to rectify it. Otherwise, we don't issue the license.
Pat?
I think September's fine. I think a friendly letter to those folks that we feel are not using the license sometime in September, pointing out that we have adopted a policy, quote unquote, that unused liquor licenses after hearing may be revoked, just to let them know and to tell them we hope that they're able to bring their licenses into compliance by the end of the year. If not, to let us know. And, you know, it's something that you can do as liquor license authority.
And as an owner, I would appreciate a little bit of maybe a friendly letter up front.
Yeah.
That, hey, you got to be here September 15th, and you got to state your case about not using your liquor license. I feel a friendly reminder, as Pat mentioned, would go a lot farther in getting them to comply than, you know, pulling up our bootstraps and trying to, you know, hold our ground that, you know, we're going to have you in for a meeting and you need to explain yourself. I think that's going to come across as a little bit aggressive, and it may take the owners a little bit.
Right.
Getting them upset and then saying, you know what, they can't do that. And then it creates
hard feelings or alienation.
Somebody going to Mass Live and saying, oh, the town of East Long Meadow is doing this to me. And that.
Kathy, may I?
Yes, please.
I believe that part of our policy, Aldo, was to extend, because of COVID, to do nothing other than notify people of the need to keep the license in force. Nothing would happen, including hearings, until January. Is that not right?
Until January, okay.
Is that not right, everyone on the committee? I mean, that's,
yeah.
So it's a friendly letter saying, you know, it's been the Wild West, but now, you know, we really need to have your licenses in force.
Yeah,
But
no, I agree. I'm sorry. I thought
Nothing
they were talking about possibly doing hearings in September.
No.
Just a letter.
So in September, then, for September, Jeannie and I can draft a letter, a friendly letter.
On my calendar.
Yeah.
And then, you know, certainly we'll show it to all of you beforehand. And then it'll go out to those 3 or 4 places. Kathy, did you have a question? I saw your hand kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Do we have any other business today?
Just a clarification.
Sure.
So you're going to notify just those 4 businesses, but why wouldn't we notify all 17 at the same time, the current license holders, just to say, FYI, in the future, things are changing? Why wouldn't we give them a heads up too?
Aldo, I'm going to put you on.
Because I'm using my license right now, although we just opened the dining room up, so, but the license was not being used previously, but it's being used now. So I wouldn't revert back to where I would stop pouring alcohol. I need to sell alcohol to generate the revenue to keep renewing the license. So I don't think you're going to have any, I mean, I get what you're saying.
They're going to get, aren't they going to get the same letter or something similar in January? And then
I think in January, yes, I agree. I think if we're going to notify them and the 2 or 3 people in September by letter, then I think in January, a broader letter should go out just stating that.
Right.
As part of the renewal.
Yeah.
Oh, part of the renewal.
I was just leaning toward Jeannie to say that when she sends out the application, that we'll have a letter in there saying just, here's an update during this past 2020. We've made the decision to the expectation that a license holder will fulfill the expectations of the license, that they can't be held dormant.
Right, that could be for business that's transferring. We just got an application for the beer shop being transferred and relocated. So, you know, in that instance, we'd want the new owner to make sure that they use that license. So that's another unique situation too. So, yeah, I can include that in the October renewal letter.
Yep.
October, I'm sorry, that's when, Jeannie, the letter goes out in October?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when it starts going.
So should we notify the owners in question in October when that letter goes out?
Oh,
No,
I
I
think
would
we
do that.
start the letter.
I would think they should get that notice early on, and then they'll be able to see that they'll also get the generic letter when the application process renews.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a sense, so that it would reassure perhaps that they're not being
Singled out.
singled out. That, well, in a way they are, but in a polite way they are being singled out. I have a procedural question. At what point does this work of the committee in the past 2 meetings go before the council as an FYI? You think that should wait till September, or can that be in sometime in August?
I've got on the August 11 agenda right now. Just an update,
It's just
from
an FYI that this is what we've decided that needs doing.
ASAP.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then whoever's paying attention will hear it then too.
Yeah. If the council disagrees, it gives us more time to work on it.
Right.
If the council says, let's have a bylaw, we go, ah.
Are you kidding? Fair enough. Any other business today? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Who made it?
Kathy.
No, I said I'll entertain a motion. So Kathy, Hood, are you making the
I
motion?
make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
There you go.
Motion's been made and seconded. Kathy Hood, Kathy Hill is a yes. Tom O'Connor,
Yes.
Pat Henry,
Yes.
Aldo Fazio.
Yes.
Motion is unanimous, and we are adjourned at 10:40 this morning. Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work.
Stay cool.
Hey,
Stay
everyone.
cool.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.